Hey everybody, I'm Dan McClellan. I'm a scholar of the Bible and religion, and the fit for this video is obviously storm. Let's take a look at a video.
If you've always wondered why there are chicks and bunnies for symbols of a holiday called Easter that's supposed to be about Jesus resurrecting, I'm going to explain it to you.
All right, let's see it.
It's called Ostara, and it's a pagan holiday, and it's much older than Easter. Ostara is the original pagan festival of fertility. It's about spring. It's about life coming back into the earth. Bunnies, chickens, fertility.
None of this is accurate, whether you understand Ostara to refer to a deity or to a festival celebrating that deity. The name was invented in 1835 by Jacob Grimm in his book Deutsche Mythologie. Now, Grimm did not connect it with eggs and bunnies used in the celebration of Easter. That wouldn't happen until 1874, when another German folklorist named Adolf Holtzmann wrote in his book, also called Deutsche Mythologie, that Ostara was celebrated with eggs and bunnies. And both of these men are elaborating on and speculating on the nature and origins of the worship of an Anglo-Saxon spring deity named Eostra. And we have one source for all information about this spring goddess Eostra. And here it is. This is chapter 15 from the Venerable Beda's book, De Temporum Ratione, or On the Reckoning of Time. And the underlined portion says the following. Eoster Monat has a name which is now translated Paschal month, and which was once called after a goddess of theirs named Eostra, in whose honor feasts were celebrated in that month. Now they designate that Paschal season by her name, calling the joys of the new rite by the time-honored name of the old observance. So whatever you hear about Eostra is based on that, and whatever you hear beyond that is made up. The only other thing we can say about Eostra is that etymologically it probably comes from a word that means to the east, has to do with dawn or sunrising or something like that. There is literally no other information available from the ancient world about any such spring goddess. In fact, some scholars think that Beda made this up and that he's just guessing that this is where the name came from. But everything about Ostara, about somebody who transforms from a bird into a rabbit that lays eggs, everything about a pagan ritual involving bunnies and eggs and all that kind of stuff, all of that was invented in the 19th century primarily by German folklorists. And I think this article by Stephen Winnick is probably the best discussion of the origin of these traditions. And Winnick is a folklorist who works at the American Folk Life Center of the Library of Congress.
I grew up in the Catholic Church against my will, and it just never made sense to me. I was like, why? Why are there chickens and bunnies? I don't understand. Isn't it about Jesus resurrecting? So this is me explaining it to you.
So as I've explained in many videos in the past, the association of eggs with Easter goes back to medieval Europe, when eggs became a prominent and traditional means of breaking the Lenten fast, which is what Easter is, because they kept an awful lot longer than meat and dairy. And then elites began to exchange eggs as gifts, painting them symbolic colors like red for the blood of Jesus, green for new birth, yellow for joy. Rabbits became associated with Easter on a much slower trajectory. First, they were associated with the Virgin Mary because medieval Europeans noticed that the European brown hare could conceive a second litter while it was still pregnant with the first, and so seemed to give birth very shortly after birthing the first litter, and so they became a symbol of parthenogenesis, of virgin birth. They become associated with Mary, then they become associated with Jesus. In the 17th and 18th centuries in Germany, rabbits and eggs become standardized as a part of the celebration of Easter. In the 19th century, particularly with the help of those German folklorists, this becomes popularized and it spreads to many other parts of the world and becomes a standard way to celebrate Easter.